Hello, everybody. My name is Connor Nielsen. I said, my name is Connor Nielsen
And I'm Spencer Nielsen. Sorry, I forgot to turn my mic back on.
of CS Reviews, and this is our sixth episode of the weekly podcast. Uh, I think I like doing this on Tuesday nights. I think it works out very well with our schedule. So, yeah, just expect us on Tuesday nights. Yeah, January is finally over. I'm beyond happy about this. And there were three movies that came out this week. I saw two. I did not get around to seeing Black or White, and really no one did. So it's not like that matters, right? So
You can say that again. I only saw one this week. We were going to see The Loft together, but I had to work later than I thought, so it's okay. Still got to see Project Almanac. Don't worry, no one else saw The Loft. Apparently, you were the only one, Connor.
you have, yeah, you were working late. Yeah.
What? I was.
Oh man, The Loft.
All
Gotta
right. Well,
work
we'll get
late.
well, we'll get to that later. How was your week so far, Connor? Or how have you been since last Tuesday?
Ah, I've been good. I've been good. I had a good time at work. I've been doing school, just really kind of more of the same. I'm having a good time, and I'm really happy that January's over. So, maybe now
Agreed.
we can actually get something good. Uh,
Yeah, well, I think the slog's going to be a little bit to muddle through, but we're not going to get Mordecai again.
yeah, no
No,
more
yeah,
Black
Black
Hat.
Cat. So,
So, um, yeah, so there were like 10 wide release movies that came out in January, not counting American Sniper or Selma or Paddington or Inherent Vice. 10 actual, honest to God January movies, and I saw 8 of them. I did not see Black or White, and I did not see The Wedding Ringer. So take that for what it's worth.
no, you got to be.
Yeah, yeah. Whew. Man, gosh. So let's talk about Project Almanac. Spencer, tell us about Project Almanac.
Project Almanac is about a group of teens. One of them is they're seniors, I assume, but one of them just got accepted into MIT, and they're filming everything for no reason. They just like to film, and so they soon uncover that while rummaging through the main characters who's going to MIT, his father's belongings, they find out if he finds a tape from his seventh birthday, which was the last time he talked to his father, and he sees himself in the reflection. So he thinks, "What? How am I in there?" And before you know it, they uncover the blueprints of a time machine, and then found footage hijinks ensue with teenagers and found footage. No, sorry,
Oh, and that's Project Almanac. It's a standard high school time travel movie. I can't believe I said that. A standard high school time travel movie.
by the
Uh,
numbers, found footage, time travel.
yeah, except this time it's found footage. So I'm going to put 7 minutes on the clock. All right, that cool?
Yep, that's cool.
Starting now. Okay, so Project Almanac. What did you not like about this movie? Because
Go on.
I thought this was the best movie of the year so far. It wins the prestigious crown of being the best movie in January, and I thought it was a bad movie. So,
Take that for what that is. I have to agree with you. It's probably the best movie we've seen all year. Uh, I remember it. It starts off, and it's right away. It feels like the way the characters interact, the way it kind of starts. It feels like this is Chronicle. Like it feels like they're wearing shirts that say "We were inspired by Chronicle." Uh, so, and sorry, okay. Sorry, likes off the bat. I think the lead actor, I thought he was actually pretty likable. I thought he did a good job. I actually hope to see him in more stuff. He brought a likable presence. His character, the script kind of did some stuff with him. They actually kind of tried to develop certain things unlike anyone else in the movie. But I think the main character was the best written, and that actually I thought pretty well acted given the circumstances. Uh,
Um, I should just like right off the bat say like the worst thing about this movie though is how for some reason they chose to make this found footage. That is undoubtedly the worst aspect of the movie is the
oh, by
styles.
far.
Yeah, and so the thing about it though is in Chronicle, um, it felt like the characters and the way the actors portrayed those characters, it felt so natural. Like you bought that it was a found footage movie. And in this one, like they'll position the camera in just a way so that you see a character do something that feels so contrived because later in the script that's going to happen. Like one of his friends obviously has a crush on his younger sister because there's one point where they position the camera just right when they're all hugging each other and he hugs his sister. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it stays there and you're like, oh, I guess they like each other. I wonder if they're going to get together by the end. It's stuff like that where it just feels very contrived and just you get that. Did you guys see that? Okay, moving on. It doesn't feel natural. It feels very obviously like they're setting something up, and it does feel like it's trying to wear Chronicle's skin. I think Dean Israelite is the director, and he probably hurt this movie more than anything else. I do like what's his name, Johnny Weston as the main guy. I thought he was good. He was serviceable. I'd like to see him grow and be in more things. The his love interest is Sophia Black Elia, who is just kind of good. Everyone else is just very expendable, interchangeable. It doesn't matter. So the acting is very blah. Another big issue I had with this was the dialogue. It's very doesn't feel like kids talking to each other. They're like, yeah, just say. It sounds like adults trying to be teenagers and then just throwing in a couple obscenities because that's how kids talk, right? So there's stuff I didn't like that. And sorry, you haven't talked for a while. You say something.
it's okay. Um, yeah, I remember we were walking into the theater, and you said exactly what I was thinking about the worst thing about this movie is the choice to make it a found footage movie, because not only does it actually mess it up on a technical level, there's parts where like anything metal or really anything that had sort of like it's hard to explain. Things started spinning around. Like at first it was metal tools that were lightweight, then it actually started getting so heavy that even the oil was like some sort of like oily stuff was like starting to like freak out. You know how oil does that? Um, like in the some sort of magnitude thing. And the camera just remained solitary. And I went, no, what? Like it wasn't believable as a found footage movie. Of course, you have like people zoom, like people will be talking in the background, and then someone will just know how to zoom in on them, and then you can hear them. I didn't like, but anyways, later in the movie, the camera actually levitates, and instead of spinning around like everything else, it just stays there. It just kind of lifts up in the air. Like, why isn't it spinning around? That doesn't make any sense. Um, but other than that, the other thing why I think this fails as why they shouldn't have made this a found footage movie is because it really would have been actually been able to kind of capture some kind of magic in a way with just seeing it from another point of view. And they actually try to do that with like incorporating multiple cameras. And I think some of the best storytelling is when it's from wider shots, when it's not all confined and enclosed.
Like I said when we walked out of this is something like along the line I'd like to see remade because people like to say that the best remakes are of bad movies because I mean there's good ideas here. It just doesn't execute them well at all. This is a very poorly directed movie. Like for example, like you can hear people when they're walking farther away, then they turn a corner and go out of sight, but you can hear them as though they're standing right next to the camera. There also another stuff I didn't, but like So like everyone, like there's the younger sister's bullied in this movie, and then one of his friends is broke and another friend is failing school, and so like they all have their problems, but there's not enough of those early scenes to establish their issues because a camera isn't following them around with them. So take away the found footage gimmick and then just kind of have it be them, and then just like really establish these things and make us feel for them. Make these bullies a bit like cartoonish and over the top, so we can go, yeah, I don't like them. So we don't have to see them too much, but when they are around, you understand why she's so angry about being bullied. Okay, this kid's broke. Instead of him just saying it one time, why don't you actually show him trying to do stuff occasionally, and then he can't buy things because he's broke? Like his car breaks down because he can't buy gas. One person's failing school, okay, show us him trying to study and then like getting, you know what I mean? Like, oh, out of time.
It's okay. Well, I wanted to say about that was um, the first half of this movie is the plot is plodding along. It takes forever of trial and error and trial and error. And I like that they were trying to get us that these kids were trying and they were failing and they were trying, they were failing, but it got to a point where it was redundant. But their characters were so rushed. Uh, you know, I remember thinking like, oh, well, gee, that was rushed. But then I thought, wait a second, the first half felt like it was just trudging along because they were trying to set up everything. It was trying to be all slow paced at first. And so then at the end, when it tries to be character driven, we're not invested in these characters yet.
Yeah, absolutely. When the stuff started happening, I was thinking, well, why do I care about you?
Yeah, and the thing is, I think the best part of this movie was sort of so the first act is them trialing it, is like character setup of them just saying, "Hey, you're this." Yeah, I am. And then them trying to work out the thing. So the first act is just the setup, and the second act is them having fun with time travel. And I think the first half that was actually kind of entertaining. I thought the whole uh, there were some good laughs in there. There was that one kid who he gets rich, then he like orders all these food carts, and he's like, yeah. And then the how the girl gets back to the bullies. I'm everywhere. It's kind of funny. But then after a while, it as you mentioned, command theater becomes like fantasy porn, where it's just that like in excess. You're like, okay, we get it.
It's just
More
like
like
you're thinking, okay, you only have so much time. You didn't establish stuff in the beginning to make us feel for these characters. So when they're celebrating and it just goes on and on and on and on and on, just like, okay, gonna do anything else? It's okay. They're still at this concert. There's Imagine Dragons. They're gonna do their whole song. Or there's Vampire Weekend. They're gonna do their entire song. It's
I know, and then you're like, okay, when are these consequences finally going to happen? Because there hasn't been any real conflict like in the first half. There's no like actual positions where these people are in conflict aside from, oh no, this isn't working. So I wanted conflict to happen so that I could kind of care more about these characters. But by the time the conflict did happen, I was not invested. Like it didn't pay off.
yeah. And the movie also has a lot of like it cuts corners a lot, especially in the beginning, where like a character will enter a room and then turn on a light bulb and they go, "Wait, did you hear that ticking sound?" Turn off the. It's like, wait, no, no one would hear that. Or also when he sees like himself in the recording, he wouldn't see that the first time. So like, why not say, "Oh, look, I found this tape," and all the pals are, "Oh, look, I found this tape. Let's watch it." And then they go, "Oh my gosh, did you hear that thing that you had just said? I said this funny joke. Well, I wasn't listening to you. Well, let's rewind it back so you can hear the joke." And they'll play. Then, "Oh my gosh, I just thought I caught something at the corner of my eye." You know what I mean?
Yeah, of
There needs to
course.
be more eyes on this. So, and then like, I just heard a ticking sound. It's not like that could have just been a cricket, you
Yeah.
know. And then so it goes, wait, click it up and click it up and now, click it up and now, click it up and now. There need to be like, and so then they're looking for the ticking sound, and then they find the time travel
Well,
machine, and so it's just like there's a lot of those corner cutting that just is it makes the whole thing feel very rushed, and these characters,
yeah.
yeah,
The thing is, I get it. In real life, there are coincidences where so you'll just kind of catch something, but there are so much of that it just becomes contrived. Um, I just something that bugs me that really shouldn't as much as it should uh, is the technical aspect. So they find their dad's camera, and it's it's an old video camera, but then they look at it, and it's in it's full screen and it's kind of lower resolution. And then later they're looking at the same footage and it is an HD widescreen, and it has it's so high definition that they can like zoom into like in a square inch and make out perfectly. Oh, you're holding that. It's like, but earlier you just showed us that it was low quality, actual like video camera, and of course that's not a detriment against the script. It's more or less just the technical aspect, but it was enough to get me out of the experience, as well as the other goofs technically. You know, people zooming in and hearing people.
Um, the last thing I do want to say about this is I liked the ending. I felt like the last 5-ish minutes, 3 minutes, I thought they were good. Yeah, I kind of had a cynical bit. I was like, really, you're gonna end it like this? And then it kept going. I was like, oh no, that's actually kind of good. And it sort of made me go, okay, I get why it was found footage. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Sort of, but it didn't justify itself enough. I mean, yeah, the ending kind of said, well, yeah, they should have been having cameras documenting this stuff. That doesn't mean the whole movie should have been found footage. I do like the ending, though.
yeah, I did like the ending, and I was actually thinking because it feels somewhat optimistic, but if you think about it, um, I like how ambiguous the ending is because my actual initial feeling was, oh, well, that's actually kind of nice. There's like a lesson about like second chances. But then if you think they saw the footage and are just going to try to do it again, I think so. I think that it's actually open to some ambiguity, and I would actually really like to see a remake down the road, like you said, not found footage.
Yeah. So all in all, I'll give The Loft a 4 out of 10. It's the best movie that
The
came out.
Loft? You give The Loft a 4 out of 10?
What? No. No, I'll give Project Almanac a 4 out of 10.
I will too. We actually felt very similar about this. We felt the exact same about this movie. I'd give it 4 out of 10 for me as well. So Connor, The Loft. What did you think about it?
I had a bit of a Freudian slip earlier because The Loft is not a 4 out of 10. All right, so The Loft. It's about 5 unlikable, deplorable pieces of crap who decide to operate. No, not operate, but they all have this secret loft penthouse suite thing that they can take their mistresses to and bone. Does that make you want to watch this movie? Well, then what happens is there's a dead woman found in the bed one morning, and then they're trying to figure out who did it.
Classy.
Well, so here's the thing about it. There's a good premise in there somewhere. I don't understand why these people had to be married. Well, I mean, it's because it just sort of add to the mystery of, was it one of the wives? That's just so whatever. It's a murder mystery, and if you're watching this and you see the posters, you go, ooh, is it going to have a little bit of those kinky thrills? No, it's a murder mystery. It is a movie that it looks and feels like an episode of CSI, but without any detectives or anything. So I'm just trying to organize my thoughts here a little bit, but I'm going to put some time on the clock and I'm just going to start talking. So starting now. The Loft sucks. It has Carl Urban, James Marsden, the big gay guy from Modern Family, Scarface, and Wentworth Miller. They're the 5 guys. They're all married, and Carl Urban is an architect, and he's designing he designed this building, and then he had a loft. He goes, and he gives everyone keys to this loft, and James Marsden's like, ooh, I don't know, man, but then so anyways, everyone kind of gets roped into this, and then that's kind of the premise. But what really is the key problem about this is none of the characters are likable. And they're obnoxiously unlikable. Like, they're trying so hard to be as unlikable as possible. So when bad things start happening, why should you feel bad for these people? Should you feel like, yes, they're getting what they deserve? But it's not like that because it's told out of order. it tries to make these people sort of sympathetic and justified in their actions because all their wives are shown as these ice queen, stubborn, just out of touch women who are too good for everybody. And then so it's a misogynist movie, and it hates men. It's just a movie that hates people, and it's very difficult to describe this, and it gets incredibly convoluted, and it's told out of order and non-linear, which is laughable and just obnoxious, and it gives the movie no structure, and it. I just got to get into some of these things because by the end of the movie it gets so ridiculous and convoluted, and so here's I'm just gonna give it all away because it's The Loft. No one saw it. No one cares. It's a remake of a remake. So
That
um,
was delayed a few years because it sucked.
exactly. So here's the here's what happened when you get to the end of it. All right. So it turns out that the girl who's dead in the bed, is a woman named Sarah, who a couple of the guys met when they went to a business trip in San Diego. And then what happens is Carl Urban admits to being in the loft the night before because he was breaking up with her. And what happened was Wentworth Miller, who's the guy with glasses, says he figured out about this because he's actually been recording them. He had set up cameras, and he was the only person who hadn't brought a woman to the loft. But what he did was he recorded everyone so he could, beat it. So then what happens is um, all the guys figure out that Carl Urban has been banging all their wives, but not quite. Not James Marsden's. He was getting it on with uh, the big guy from Modern Family's wife, and he was like banging Scarface's sister, and he was just basically all the important ladies in these people's lives. He was getting it on with all of them. And then what happened is, so what they do is they poison him and drug him, and then they put him in the bed with him. Sorry. What happens is they find the woman dead, and then they set it all up to make it look like a murder because she was just passed out there with sleeping pills. And so then what they do is they make it look like a gruesome murder with the slashed wrist and writing of blood on the board. And then they put Carl Urban in there, so when the police show up, they think it's him, and then they call them all in for questioning, and then they get out. But then what happens is the suicide note that I had written was actually Wentworth Miller had did it because he was in love with her, and he was mad that Carl Urban was getting with her and she wasn't getting with him. And so then what he did was he all did it just to screw with him and set up him for murder. And then turns out when this woman was dead, and she wasn't actually dead, so Scarface killed her without knowing she was dead. Um, and then the James Marsden figures out about it, and then Wentworth Miller gets thrown off the loft and lands onto a car.
Huh?
Oh, and so what happens is there's a lot of characters that doesn't make any sense. So what happens is Carl Urban, I can't understand what Carl Urban stands to lose or gain from having James Marsden be a part of this loft, because when he initially pitches the idea of the loft, James Marsden says, "No, I'm not that kind of a guy." Okay, then what happens is this woman named Anne who seduces him, and he goes, "Okay, I want to keep the loft." And then what happens, you find out that she is a prostitute because, this is a classic movie. Then what happens is she's a prostitute, and then he finds out that she was paid for by Carl Urban so that James Marsden could get a key to him. Why does he stand to lose or gain anything from this loft thingy? And then it turns out he was sleeping with James Marsden's girlfriend. But why? So he paid her to seduce him so he could get with her, but
To justify himself, maybe?
I don't understand that. There's no real reason for Carl Urban to just set up everyone so he could, get with everyone's girls, because he's not admitting to it. So what's the point? And then what happens is you find out that when the woman she didn't die from the sleeping pills, and she didn't. And the autopsy person says she didn't die from the sleeping pills, and she didn't die from the slash in her wrist. It doesn't add up, and so you're thinking, oh, so Carl Urban must have done it. But then what happens is you find out that the slash on the wrist did kill her, so there's this giant plot hole there that the person who did the autopsy obviously doesn't. Oh.
Cut to the chase. Who's behind it?
Wentworth Miller. He gets thrown off of the building and lands on the car.
Oh, right, right.
So yeah, that's this kind of a movie, and it's directed with such obnoxious style where everyone is close on their face when they're giving interviews, and it's like this, and they're, oh, I don't know, man, and so it's that kind of a lighting, and it's just this up close thing. There's a scene where they drug Carl Urban, where it is just obnoxious to watch. It's obnoxious to watch because he's like giving all these revelations, and it's like, hold on, I'm figuring out what's going on, and this is one of those edited movies where it's like, someone is behind this. I think the wives found out, and then it will cut and show a clip of James Marsden's wife, cut to Carl Urban's wife, cut to Wentworth Miller's wife, cut to Scarface's wife, cut to big guy from Modern Family's wife. Just in case you made sure you knew everyone. It's like that. I really don't like this movie, and it's also completely boring and dull. It is a flat line. It feels like it was made for TV. I'll give it a 2 out of 10.
All right. I don't think I'll ever watch it. So January definitely went out on a high note, you're saying.
Yeah, sayonara January 2015. January 2013 and 2014 were better than you. And January last year had I, Frankenstein.
Well, that sums it up in a nutshell.
Yes. All right. Next week, we have Seventh Son, Jupiter Ascending, that was delayed because it was so bad. It was supposed to come out in May of last year, but it got extremely negative critical reception. And so we also get the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, which could be okay. I'm sort of looking forward to that.
Yeah, I actually, I'm a huge fan of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. It's a childhood favorite, and it's actually one of my favorite movies, even if it might just be for nostalgic reasons. I actually think it's very funny and is very well done. So part of me is looking forward to it, but part of me is also thinking, SpongeBob has sucked since the SpongeBob movie came out. After that, the creator left, and Steven Hillenburg left the show. So since then, SpongeBob has just sucked, and I've stopped watching it. But who knows? Maybe this will be good. You never know.
And the Paul Tibbitt era is coming to an end because Steven Hillenburg has come back. So it's kind of funny how the Steven Hillenburg, kind of his first era ended with that SpongeBob movie. Then Paul Tibbitt took over, and now Paul Tibbitt era of terror is coming to an end with this movie. It looks like a fun kind of it looks like a fun play on the superhero movies, and the trailer made me laugh quite a bit. And I kind of like the 3D animation. It looks unique.
Yeah, I personally, I'd rather if they, just because I like the show, and whenever they would, in the show, whenever they'd go on land, they just have really crappy puppets, and part of me would love to see that.
An entire the Hollywood movie have that kind of spend. That would be awesome.
It would be like a total, last act of defiance against the studio or something. But personally, I miss hand-drawn animated movies a lot, and I was hoping to see that. I'm not getting this, but you know what? I'm still gonna watch it, judge it on its own merits, and see how it goes.
All right. So those are the 3 movies we will talk about next week. And yeah, January's over. Thank God.
You can say that again. All right.
Do you have anything else to say?
Personally, no.
All right. Project Almanac, bad. Loft, terrible. Surprisingly, not in the bottom three worst movies of January, but it was still terrible. So, yeah, with that, I've got nothing else to say. Bye.
All right. Spencer Nielsen signing out.